Page 65, Grandpapa Jonathan. The top of the page, they're introducing you to a thing called a triplet. It's where you're squeezing in 3 notes in the same amount of time as you'd normally play 2 notes. So you have to play them a little bit quicker. The first example they show are with 1/8 notes. The second one's 1/4 notes. They could be pretty much any kind of note. Doesn't matter. Well, let's stick with the 1/8 notes. It's probably the most common. And let's look at the piece of music. I like to use the music at the beginning. The 1/8 notes are beamed together in groups of 3. They have a little curve under them, and there's a little 3 there. That signifies it's a triplet. Now, some publishers won't put in the little curved line because you think it's a slur or a phrase or something. It's not. This is yet another reason. There's another thing that this curved line is used for. You don't have to slur them together just because it's just indicating they go together. It's a triplet. Some publishers leave it out. They just put in the 3. And that's confusing too, because sometimes that looks like a finger number. And they think, what's what? But so you have to work it out. And you study it, you'll figure it out. But sometimes it's not real clear. So at the beginning of this, triplets, I count them as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. If you want to use words, you say triple, triple, trip, because piano players have to be able to go back and forth between straight 2s and 3s. We call it duple and triple. So it's like 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. We got to get good at going in between those 2. And actually we do, because you do it so much, you'll get it. The point is the triplets have to be even. So it's 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I recommend just a natural accent on each beat so you can tell when the beat starts. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Because if you don't put in that beat, you can't tell where it starts. So if it happens to be a triplet run, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and if you don't put it in, you can't tell what the beat is. Where's the beat? You know? So then you can tell ba-da-da type thing. So a little natural. You need to feel it. If you'll feel it, you'll do it. So it's here. Watch the fingering. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This goes back to sequences. Have I talked about sequences yet in this book? A sequence is a pattern of notes, a short pattern of notes that goes up or down the keyboard. In this case, we have 3. And then again, and we're gradually going up the keyboard. Each one of these 3 is an occurrence of that sequence thing. The whole thing is the sequence, and then we have this repeated pattern. Now, most of the time in piano, when we get this, we'll finger each occurrence in the sequence the same. Finger it the same. In this case, it's 1, 2, 3. Next one, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We're just going to figure them all this way. It's not the only fingering we could use. We could use other fingerings. The point is, each occurrence in that sequence is the same fingering. It has nothing to do with triplets or anything. Now I'm talking sequences, because look at the second line. Now we're going to go down. Changes a little bit at the end. But the point is the fingering, and I'd like to adjust this fingering because they're starting out with 3, 4. And if I'm going to use this, look at the last 2 beats on the first measure there. The second line is 1, 3, 2. And it keeps going 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. Well, if I'm going to use that, I want to use it at the beginning of this. I want to use it up here. They didn't, because you're ending on a thumb and they're just leaving you in this position. And since these are the fingers on that, they're doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I like to finger these sequences the same. So I'm going to recommend move up and put the thumb here. And go ahead and finger this 1, 3, 2. Until you get down to the last, there on the second measure, the third beat, it's 1, 4. That's because the notes changed. And then we go back up, blah, 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 And then this last line, second measure, it starts out here, and then here, and then here. Here we got a 6-note occurrence, but it's still a sequence, because this is 1, this is 1, and this is 1. And if I can figure out a way to finger each of those 3 occurrences the same, I'm going to do it. Well, the fingering then would be, this is the beginning of the second measure. The last line is 1, 3, 2, 1. That takes care of the triplet. And then for the other one, it's a 5, 2. Then I'm in position for the 1 again. So it's a 1, 3, 2, 1, 5, 2. Until the end, it changes. That's what I'm recommending. So just take a pencil and put in those finger numbers. And then in the last measure, when you're, then the last triplet there is 3, and I recommend a 3, 1, 2, 3. Rather than this. You can do that. You need practice with those fingers. But I like this here better. That's the fingering I suggest for this piece. In the left hand you have the chords, and we're going to keep the chords soft here. And then the second line is C major scale going down. But when you get down to the little, see the second measure, third beat, it has this square bracket and a 3 there. That's another indication of a triplet. Except instead of 3 eighth notes, it's got a quarter note and an eighth note. That's the same as 3 eighth notes as far as counting goes. So it's just 1 and 2 and so it's second measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and see the C's on the 3 and 4 and it's played like a triplet. Just play it, keep it in line with the right hand. Play those 2 together. And then going on left hand, 5, 3, and then a 2, 1. We changed. This prepares us for what's coming. Last line, 4, 1, 5, 1, and I recommend a 5, 2 for the last beat in that first measure, 5, 2. And then back to the C major scale. Last one, and for the last note in the piece, left hand, I recommend a 3, 2, because you're here and it's slurred. You're going to connect them. Actually, you're going to connect pretty much everything anyway, but it's interesting that put a slur in that, because see, the idea with articulation is if they put a slur in, you're supposed to connect it. If they don't put anything in, like the first beat of the first measure there, when the left hand plays in the first line here, there's no articulation there at all, nothing. That means it's really up to you. How do you want to how do you want to interpret it? They leave it wide open. When you're first learning it, first approaching it, you play it legato. When we do that intentionally, because we want to get the fingering out, we want to finger it legato if we can. And then after you know it, you can go back and add in the staccatos where you think they should be. So on these, I might think, well, look at the second line here on the C major scale going down. There's nothing marked, and so when I'm learning it, I'm going to do it legato. But after I learn it, maybe I want to play those disconnected. It's my choice. It's up to me. So in the last line, those last 2 measures, if you might want to disconnect them. But the last 2 beats, they're telling you, connect them. You don't get a choice on those. Cool, huh? Dynamic-wise, you're starting out soft, whatever soft is to you. And in the second measure, now you're going to get a little louder. It doesn't tell you how loud. I wouldn't get really loud. It just, to me, it's out of character for the piece, but you're going to grow a little bit. And then stay there in the second line. And then you start coming down. You see the decrescendo? Back down to soft. Now get a little louder. and then stay loud, sort of loud. Then start getting soft. And you end up soft too. There's no retard. I tend to retard as an interpretive thing. Doesn't say it can't, but there's no retard marked. Let's play this together really, really slow. It's marked Allegro, and that's your Allegro. That's slower than Presto. That's that moth mess that we just did. But this is like a 1, 2, 3. I mean, to me, Allegro is what I just did. 1, 2, 3, 4. But your Allegro might be slower than that, and that's okay, because it's more important to play accurately and under control than it is to play fast. Control and accuracy trumps fast. But we're going to go really, really, really slow. I'm going to give 4 counts. Let's play this together, just to check the notes and the rhythms. So the right hand starts here. The left hand will be here eventually. We're going to have to keep the left hand out of the way until the right hand moves up. 1, 2, ready, and go, and 1.